Hello, dear friends. There are many ways to call this process: moving, transition, transformation, or metamorphosis. Moving is often very stressful. To move is to leave something you had before and take something else in its place. Transition is the action and effect of moving from one way of being to another. To transform is to make someone or something change form. Metamorphosis is the change of someone or something from one state to another. Opinion piece. Times of moving. Period of confusion. Transition begins. Moving creates stress. Transforming the world. Historical turning point. The awakening of humankind. The funnel is narrowing. Earth's finest tower. You are not the same creature as before. Learn to listen to the voice of your soul. Don't resist what your intuition says. Evil disappears as soon as you recognize it. No one can fool his own conscience. We live in two simultaneous timelines. It's the most important moment in history. The prophecies of Armageddon will not be fulfilled. This process is expected to be completed by 2025. This effort requires mature and tested souls. Parallel is when two different realities are lived out. A new timeline changed destiny in 2010. The old time leading to Armageddon was extinguished. Everyone chooses a timeline according to their frequency. Simultaneous timelines are like a fruit salad. Let's start. Transformation is actually a calendar of events and procedures called a timeline. Humankind is now on a timeline where something significant is about to happen. What is termed is as a historical turning point according to Peter P. Mayer's final wake-up call. Planet Earth is making its transition from 3D to 5D, and many of the incarnated souls on Earth are also making their ascension. It is the most important moment in all planetary history, or even in the history of the universe. But above all, it is the greatest moment on Earth with the awakening of humankind. The prophecies of Armageddon so long ago will not be fulfilled. We are going to experience incredible times. However, there is still a major hurdle that sadly affects the destiny of humankind itself. But at this moment, it is the most decisive moment for humankind on planet Earth. Extinction. Two new well-defined timelines will determine the future. One will take part of humankind to the 5D New Earth. The other will take the rest into exile on another 3D planet. Only 1/3 of humankind would be able to make and complete the ascension necessary for this transition. Eventually, a new cycle and the new Earth will emerge, where there is no authority or superior to influence our free will and our decisions. Everyone will be their own judge. No one will interfere in the individual preferences of others. The light has won, where each one creates his own reality. The destiny of humankind has been definitively decided. The wheat has been separated from the chaff. Only the ascended beings will go to the new 5-dimensional Earth. This process is expected to be completed and settled around 2025. The light will become more intense, making it impossible for sleepers to fall asleep. It is certain that many, even if awakened by the high intensity of light, will choose another dark planet to continue their deep soul sleep there. Therefore, this piece is only for those who are truly awake and have chosen the path of the new 5D Earth. The awakening of humankind. Be prepared and be on guard, for things are moving fast now. The banks are closing. The transition could last up to 3 weeks. The accomplices of the clique and their supporters will be removed. They are part of the dark side because of the illicit money they made for themselves. This made them feel important, but now they will pay a high price. Before the endless wars of the clique, the objectives such as the destruction of ancient and modern cities, the maximization of casualties, and massive damage to earn money for the interest on the money borrowed for reconstruction were never told. For thousands of years, our history has largely been made a hoax, especially since 1706. Almost every fact and aspect has been manipulated and changed to keep the population into the dark, better controlled and oppressed. But that has ended now. The truth is coming out, and every day more and more people understand what is happening, and we are slowly waking up. Economy. Unsecured paper money and banks will eventually disappear. Real money backed by gold will remain. Money and banks have been tools to oppress the population through their economy, based on debt that ensures that citizens can never prosper. Unrest and insecurity are spreading. More and more people are losing control of their wealth and their orientation, especially people who have no inner connection to themselves and their eternal soul are now caught in the maelstrom of misinformation, confusion, and deception. They are unable to see what is happening, and they are unable to see through what is being played out. So these people will remain the playthings of the rulers. Many will disappear from the planet or leave. The unity of all the villages of all the peoples together can only be achieved by souls who are ripe for it. So it is now that the oppressed must leave this earth with the oppressors who are not prepared. What is hailed as a blessing brings death. What is clothed as a promise of salvation brings entrampment. Warnings of their danger were ignored by immature souls, neither seeing nor recognizing. Thus it happens that people shorten their lives by their own free choice. They are people who are unprepared for the coming changes. The best time. Many other things will be resolved in the same way at the level of the soul. For each chooses when life on earth ends or when mastery is achieved. Very few are prepared for this. Therefore, do not worry if many people leave this earth. It happens in harmony and with the knowledge of the soul's own plan. Each soul chooses and decides before humankind's life the kind of experiences it will have and the skills it will acquire. Thus, each soul knows when and how to live. No one lives by chance. As these changes take place on earth, many beings in the outer realms watch us awakeners with admiration and appreciation. You, the awakeners, are the one we have been waiting for, and you are also the ones who leave the old behind to create a new life with living beings who want peace and trust and appreciate each other. Difficulties. This endeavor requires mature and tested souls. A young soul with little experience on planet Earth will have difficulty finding its way, even under optimal 3D conditions. Such a soul will be overwhelmed by what is now manifesting on planet Earth. Thus it happens that some wake up and others sink into a deep sleep. They are the ones who could not see and understand the evil behind the theater, who refused any clarification and believed the lies presented, and who have no discernment between right and wrong. For these people, it comes full circle. They are those who are not committed to change and now end their last cycle of life on earth. Evil disappears as soon as you recognize it and put it in its place. Satan no longer has power over those who see through the wiles and tricks and do not succumb to the lure of temptation. The new timeline has now been prepared for the mature souls. The time has come for those who want to crown their lives and serve the planet Earth as fully conscious humankind. We are now at the turning point. As the Earth as a planet transitions, many of the souls incarnated here are simultaneously making their ascension. It is the most important moment in all planetary history, but above all, it is the greatest moment of planet Earth and the awakening of humankind. Timelines. Next, Vital Frosty provides additional information he has received about parallel or simultaneous timelines. When we speak of timelines, we are referring to a particular situation that deviates from what was considered normal up to that point, or a continuation of what has always been. Therefore, when we say that there has been a change in the timeline, we are talking about what is going to change. It is to say, nothing will ever be the same again. Normally, a timeline affects the collective. It is of little importance when it affects a single person or a very small part of the collective. Such timelines can also interfere with the planet as a whole. It is change enough to cause a planetary transition. A new timeline changed the fate of the Earth in 2010. The old timeline that determined Armageddon was extinguished, and its place arose a timeline that makes the planetary transition smoother and more harmonious. Simultaneous lines. All planets and their humankind undergo profound transformations over an infinite period of time, like, for example, what we are experiencing now on planet Earth. This is part of the reconciliation plans for all worlds. But today, we are going to talk about something very interesting that is happening now in these last months of 2022. We are living in a situation that has never happened before. We are living in two simultaneous timelines. Let us first understand that the timelines can be antagonistic or contradictory, parallel or simultaneous. The difference between them is easy to understand. Antagonistic is when one lives totally different reality than that of others, from that of others. Parallel is when you live two different realities, but sometimes clearly one and sometimes the other. You realize what the difference between the two is. Simultaneous timelines are a jumble of things, like a fruit salad or a mixed pie. Today, we are going to elucidate on simultaneous timelines because that is what is most evident at the end of 2022. Chances are that after understanding this, you can get some relief from the stress that the current times bring. Understanding what is happening will give you some peace in the turmoil we are going through. Everyone chooses a timeline according to their frequency, and that will very soon send them in opposite directions. It is really about the present moment in relation to the days ahead. If it is the frequency of each consciousness that determines who will ascend their souls now, it is clear that it will also be that frequency that will guide each to one timeline or the other. But this is not an event that can be observed in a day. This event may take several years, but it will not last long. We are on the cusp of that moment. The year 2022 will indeed be a demarcation as stated at the end of 2021. Although this is not yet very clear yet, we will see later on how it all worked out. Individual decisions will determine the final line. Pay attention to your feelings. You are not the same creature as before. There is something intriguing about your feelings. Forget the old beliefs for a while and allow yourself the new. At least accept the possibility that nothing will ever be the same again. Don't resist what your intuition says. Believe in the multiple possibilities. Nothing that was before will be the same from now on. Do short meditations and feel your body, your inner voice and your heart. Learn to listen to the voice of your soul. It is guiding you now as never before, and you must let go of the old beliefs to allow the new. New realities are emerging faster and faster, and you may find yourself in mental confusion or existential conflict. This confusion is precisely because you are experiencing two timelines simultaneously. This is easy to identify. Notice how there are moments when it seems that you are no longer yourself. Then things seem to return to normal. There are situations that seem to have happened in times past, and then you realize that it is in fact real, that it is happening now. There are also times when it seems like you are dreaming, but you see and recognize that it is not a dream. In short, the sense of what is real and what is not is constantly confused. There are two simultaneous timelines, which can sometimes also be two parallel timelines. The difference is that the simultaneous timeline is shorter and more confusing. The parallel timeline, on the other hand, feels longer, and the difference between the two becomes clearer. What we have to say today is that today's simultaneous timelines will soon become parallel timelines, and later they will in fact be two opposing or antagonistic timelines that will determine the course of every incarnated soul here on planet Earth. It depends on the adjustment that each one can still make in terms of vibrational frequency. Each incarnated humankind now has a final choice. It will be decisive because this is also the last incarnation in duality on this planet. The opportunity offered by the divine plan is so great that it allows each incarnated soul to feel the many frequencies, so that each can choose his or her path without hesitation. This is jumble or turmoil of feelings that gives each one the direction to choose according to the current stage in the evolution of each incarnated soul. Remember that all is frequency, and that universal laws do not read words. No one can deceive his own consciousness. We still have some time left, but the funnel is narrowing. The timelines are available to everyone, and everyone can make the decision now. I am Byron Forsey, and my mission is enlightenment. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.